You are tuned into episode 3 of my first ever surgery vlog series. Now, let's recap real quick. In episode 1, I shared with you the procedures that I'm interested in getting this round, and I will link that here. In episode 2, we talked about 8 things you must do prior to securing a surgeon. This is going to save you a lot of time and money. I will link that video here. Now, in this video, we're going to be talking about how to research for a surgeon. Now that you've looked at episode 1 and you've now figured out what procedures you want, right? In episode 2, you've now figured out what you need to do prior to securing a surgeon. Now you're like, okay, well, how do I actually find a surgeon that's best for me? Not best for my best friend, or that's best for a celebrity that I idolize, or that's best for an actor or whatever, maybe a family member that you see that you're like, I want a body like that. No, you want to find the surgeon that is best for you. So that's what we're talking about in this episode. Okay, let's jump right in. The first thing you're going to do, you're already in the right place. Jump on YouTube, because you need, once you've figured out what type of procedure you want to see what it looks like to go through those procedures. Now, this isn't something that's supposed to be a scare tactic, right? You're not looking at these and thinking, oh my God, am I going to be able to go through that? Hopefully at this point, you've already realized that regardless of the procedure, there's going to be recovery time, there's going to be pain, there's going to be post-op requirements that you must go through, whether it be massages, whether it be different garments you have to wear, different post-op visits. For myself, I have keloid skin, or if you have hypertrophic scars, you may need to go get steroid shots with your dermatologist. All those things you're going to be aware of at this point. Not necessarily aware of those steps that might be curated specifically for you, because everybody is different, but more so that you're not going to go in, have a procedure, and then tomorrow you'll be fine and back to work and you felt no pain and you just have a snatched waist. Sis, it's going to be a process, right? But the reason why you're jumping onto YouTube is you want to see what these procedures look like, whether you're staying within the United States or whether you're staying out, if you're venturing out of the country to get a procedure done, okay? So regardless of what your decision is, that's up to you, or maybe you haven't gotten to that point yet, and that's okay. But you want to jump on YouTube and you want to see what other experiences look like aligned to the procedures you're interested in getting. So for me, as you know, in round 3, I'm having revisions to my Lipo 360 and BBL. And I'm also interested in getting J plasma done as well. And I'm also interested in getting breast reduction, right? Okay, so for me, in my situation, I'll use me as an example. I would now start, especially with the J plasma, because that's more of a newer procedure. I started looking at a lot of different surgeons speaking about what the procedure will entail. What does it look like? What does the recovery time look like? And again, every surgeon, it's going to be modified based on what their approach is and what they would suggest. But you want to start getting an idea of what to expect there. This way you can kind of mentally prepare yourself for which procedures will be best for you and determine, are these going to all be able to be done in one round? For example, if I wanted to have my rhinoplasty, my nose done, or I wanted to have also a facelift, and then I also wanted to get breast implants, and I also want to get a tummy tuck, chances are you're not going to get all of those done in one round, right? So now you've got to think about, okay, here are the, if it was, what did I say, nose job, facelift, breast implants, and a tummy tuck. So those are four procedures. You may need to get that done in 2 rounds, or maybe it may be 3 rounds, depending on what the surgeon suggests. But for now, you just want to take a look at a couple different videos. Specifically, I would recommend by surgeons, don't necessarily focus in on patient reviews. We're not there yet. Don't do that. I would suggest you just look at and listen to these procedures, listen to surgeons speak up about the procedures, what it entails, the type of bodies that they would most recommend that for. For example, if you are a BMI of like 40 or 39, it may not be the best time to get a tummy tuck at that point. You may want to come down a little bit and wait, depending on what your surgeon suggests. I'm not a medical professional, but this is my suggestion. You may want to come down a little bit and wait before you get that tummy tuck, because you may have a flat stomach, but if your top is still really big, you may not have balanced results, right? You may have like a really big top and this small waist, and then you may have a really big bottom, or you may have difficulties with finding a surgeon that's going to approve you for surgery because of such a high BMI, which we talked about in episode 2. The next thing you want to do is you want to join some Facebook groups. Now, I'm going to tell you this because I'm a part of some Facebook groups now, and a lot of the questions that the women are asking within the groups, and some men as well, a lot of the questions that the folks are asking, and a lot of them are usually pre-op, I would highly suggest that when you join these Facebook groups, if you want to introduce yourself, great. After that, don't say anything. Just read and learn. The purpose of joining the Facebook groups when you first join, especially since you haven't chosen a surgeon yet, and again, this is the suggestion that I would make. You join the Facebook groups before you choose a surgeon. And at this point, because you don't even have a few surgeons in mind, or maybe if you do, great, join their specific Facebook group. So let's say your doctor's name is Dr. John, just an example. If his name is Dr. John, typically there will be like John's Dolls plastic surgery group or something like that, right? So search that, find their Facebook group, and it's usually not a group that they have started. It's usually a group that their patients have started. Real important to get that, so you can get an idea of, you know, the type of procedures he's done, what their experiences have been, things of that nature. Also, you can join general groups like, you know, plastic surgery dolls or something like that, or I'll list a couple below, but general ones that have many different surgeons, because especially if you haven't chosen a surgeon yet, this will help you start to see some of the before and after pics, because a lot of women will share their before and after pictures within the Facebook group, and then you can kind of see which ones look good to you, which ones align to what your vision of what you want your body to look like. So you want to start looking at these pictures and seeing which ones have before pictures that look like you and after pictures that look like what you would like to look like, right? Because this will allow you to start to get an idea of the type of surgeon you want. You'll start to notice, and this comes, actually I'm looking at my phone here because I want to make sure I get everything on the list. You'll start to notice that when you, which brings us to our next tip, that you want to follow surgeons. Once you've looked at the Facebook groups that are the general groups, you'll start to see like, oh, I really like the way this picture looks. Doesn't mean that's a surgeon you're going with, right? But I like the way that picture looks. Immediately follow them on Instagram. Take a look at quite a few of their before and afters, okay? And see what they look like. Do you like the before and afters, or was this just a fluke? Because sometimes you may see a before and after and it looks absolutely incredible, but then when you go on their page and you start looking, you want to see 20 to 30 before and after pics that look like, wow, I really like the way these results look. They are aligned with what I am looking for, the body type that I have and the look that I'm going for. Keep in mind, I keep saying that because you want to make sure that you're not only looking at the after pics, because this kind of brings me to what I've said, I think I said it in the last episode, is if you choose a surgeon based on the fact that you've seen your best friend or a cousin of yours or a celebrity has gotten work done and you like their after pics, that's gonna find you in a mix-up. Why? Because their after pics might look phenomenal, but what did they look like initially? Okay? Now, for me, I might be considered to have a larger frame, depending on who you talk to, okay? They may say, okay, she has a bigger frame. Okay. But if I am looking at a lot of surgeons that are doing women that started off at like a size 4 or a size 6, right? And I'm loving their after pics might be phenomenal, but they may not do well with women with a bigger frame. Right? So now if I go to this particular surgeon and I get work done, I may not get the optimal results that I'm seeking because I'm looking at a lot of before pics that started off at a much smaller frame than mine. Same thing for the opposite. Let's say I'm a very slim woman. I'm not, but let's say you are like maybe a BMI of like 26 or 25, a smaller frame. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're looking at a lot of surgeons, okay, that have women who are a 34 or 35 BMI where they have more fat to play around with, and when I say that, I mean they're gonna have, when you have more of a stomach, because that's the visceral fat, right, you're gonna get a lot better results on your BBL. Of course, as long as it doesn't go over a certain BMI. But when you have like a good amount of stomach fat, that visceral fat is the fat that is most likely to live when it comes to your BBL. So you're going to be able to get a lot of fat to play around with to make your butt as big as you want it to be, versus someone who may have a smaller frame or less stomach fat. They may not get as extreme results, or as extreme results in that first round, because they don't have as much to work with. All right, so you want to make sure you're looking at not only the afters, but you're looking at the before pics as well. Super important, guys. Before pics are just as important as the afters in order to ensure you're choosing the right surgeon that's going to get the optimal results based on your body type. Okay, all right, so the next one is going to be the area of expertise. So when you now start looking at a lot of these surgeons, so you're on the Facebook groups, okay, so you're like, oh, I really like this surgeon, okay, I like this surgeon. So let's say you've gotten about 4 or 5 surgeons that you're now following. Now they're going to start coming up in your timeline. So you're going to start seeing on Instagram a lot of their before and after pics. Great, I love it, right? Now you want to start looking at what their area of expertise is, okay? Very important, because if I am looking for a surgeon to do my, let's say I want the same surgeon to do my breasts and my BBL, but you're looking at a surgeon as the BBL king. If they're the BBL king, and you start seeing when you get to the point of talking with their coordinators, and they start pushing the BBL, that says to you this is someone who may not focus on breasts. What I'm realizing now, compared to when I had my first round, so my first round, right, when I got my my breast implants, actually my first round I got breast implants, I got a tummy tuck, and upper and lower back lipo. At the time they did not do 360 lipo, you had to pay per area, okay? So when I got that particular surgeon, pretty much anything you wanted done, he did rhinoplasties, he did facelifts, he did breast implants, right? I'm starting to realize, but that was also like 11 years ago. I'm starting to realize that now we're in the era of, it's almost like you have boutique surgeons, if you will. And these surgeons have a specific focus. So they'll say, oh no, I only do BBLs. So I only do like lipo 360 BBL, which usually comes together, right? People will, because you need to get the fat from somewhere to put in the BBL. They will tell you that. Or they will say, I only do, I only do maybe rhinoplasties and facelifts, or only facelifts. That's their area of focus. So you may need to find a separate surgeon for breasts and for your BBL. So it's important to always make sure you're aware of the surgeon's area of expertise prior to choosing your surgeon. The next thing you want to think about is whether or not you're going to be doing it in town or out of town. I mentioned this in the last episode, but this is something that's going to help you kind of scale down to getting the right surgeon for you, right? And sometimes, I know for me, when I was doing this round 3, I actually ended up having 2 surgeons that were my top 2 choices. One was in town, and one was in the United States, and one was out of the United States. And for me, I was open to whether or not I wanted to travel, but keep in mind, if you do want to travel, okay, that's going to increase your budget. Because if you're in town and you're maybe 45 minutes away from that surgeon, that's good for you, because then the costs are there's certain costs you're not going to incur. For example, if you're going out of town, you've got to consider travel costs. If you're going with someone, if someone's going to be going there to support you, you have to consider their travel costs as well. You have to consider food for you guys as well. You have to consider stay. Where are you staying? Are you going to be staying at a recovery home? Just so you know, if you have your boyfriend going with you, most recovery homes do not allow boyfriends to stay. Why? Because keep in mind, it's typically all women there that are going to be healing, and if they want to have a comfortable environment for those women, so typically they will not allow men to stay at the recovery home. So then now you have to think about, are you going to do a hotel or an Airbnb? If you choose that, you've got to think about cost of a travel nurse. Are you going to have a travel nurse? Are you going to have a nurse stay with you for the first couple of days? Or are you going to, I know that there's some nurses that are doing like, I don't know, you could pay for like 20 hours, let's say, and maybe you do 5 hours the first day and then another 5 hours for the next 4 days, or whatever the case is. Whatever your choice is there, you would have to consider those costs. You have to also consider costs of transportation. How are you going to get to and from the surgery center or the private practice? All of these things are going to increase your budget. So you want to think about that when you're thinking of a surgeon. If you choose, no, I want to stay in town, then that allows you to kind of filter out several of the surgeons that you may think are good, but you don't want to travel out of town. Because if you've made that a part of your criteria, you already know no matter how amazing a surgeon is, you're not traveling out of town, you don't feel comfortable with that. So that's someone that you're going to have to, is not going to be a surgeon of choice for you. Okay? Now, the next thing you want to think about is negative comments. When you go on places like, there's like realself.com, there are, of course, the Facebook groups as well. You will see negative comments in there. You will see negative comments on Instagram. When you start to look at a lot of the before and after images on your surgeon sites, you will look at a lot of the comments and you will see, oh, you never got back in touch with me, or, oh, I just had surgery and no one's ever returned my calls, or I'm not negating or discounting those people's experiences, but I do want to let you keep in mind, especially as a YouTuber, there are trolls on here. There are trolls. Not all of those comments are true. Not all of those people have even had surgery with those people. I don't know why people do things like this, but I guess that's something that they enjoy. I guess they feel like, well, I can't have the surgery, so I'm going to, make all of these negative comments on their pages. Or sometimes you will see negative comments and you have to sift through what the actual issue is. Drill down to the issue. For example, if someone is saying, I had my surgery, but the team was not, the bedside manner of the team, whether it is responsiveness, because responsiveness is very low in this time. In this day and age, there are so many people that are interested in having surgery. This is such a big industry right now, and it's only continuing to grow, that they can't handle the call volume. And so some people have terrible customer service. That doesn't mean you should go with that surgeon. If that is something that is extremely important to you, you should choose another surgeon. But don't count that surgeon out unless you've seen that comment more than once. Don't let one comment make you say, okay, I'm no longer going with this surgeon. Again, you make the final decision, but in my opinion, you may be missing out on a really great experience with the surgeon because of maybe one person on their team that may have dropped the ball with this one person who chose to complain. So keep in mind, they're doing several patients a day. That doesn't mean that that is the experience for all of their patients. And that's why once you drill down to, I would say 2 or 3 surgeons, and the way you get to that point, let's recap. You're doing first the YouTube searches and you're looking for different surgeons that are talking about different procedures so you can drill down the type of procedures you want. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go onto Facebook and you're just going to look up plastic surgery groups. Don't drill down to a surgeon just yet. Now, if you have a friend that you know that they got work done and you're interested in them, if you want to throw them into your surgeons of choice, that's absolutely fine. However, for me, I would suggest you try to find a surgeon that works best for you. If they have a similar body type, they have a similar budget, they have a similar experience of what you're looking for, okay, then throw them into your surgeon list as well. But don't just go with that surgeon, explore. And that's what the Facebook groups give you an opportunity to do, because the general Facebook groups will allow you to see work done and experiences by many different surgeons and allow you to get maybe 5 to 7 surgeons that are on your list. Once you get that list of 5 to 7, you're jumping onto Instagram, okay? You go onto Instagram, you follow all of them, and you hone in on what their specialties are. What are their areas of expertise? Then you're also going to be looking at what body types are their area expertise. What are their body types that they really do well on? Because you'll notice if you really look and pay attention to detail, you'll see that there are surgeons that have mastered lean, slim looks. There are surgeons who have mastered more of the sporty look. There are surgeons who have mastered you know, women who are a little bit thicker, right? They're women who, like myself, who might be a larger BMI, and then they're bringing them down to a particular shape that you're looking for. Make sure you don't only look at the after pics, we also look at the before pics, okay? Then you want to determine, are you going to be going in town, staying in town, or out of town? That's going to help you scale back on some of the surgeons as well, all right? And then you want to be wary of the negative comments, as I mentioned. So once you've looked at all of this, right, you should be down to like 2 to 3 surgeons. That's the sweet spot. Once you get down to 2 to 3 surgeons, now you are ready to reach out and start looking at pricing. Okay, and then you come back to your budget. So, you know, again, we talked about the budget, I believe, in a little bit in episode 1 and 2, actually, we touched on budget. So you don't even want to, these 3 surgeons, now you're going to reach out to the coordinators. You're going to fill, typically there's like a little quick application you fill out, and then you start going into pricing. And that is what the next episode is going to be about. I have 3 surgeons that I'll be sharing with you guys, and I will be sharing with you the criteria that helped me choose the best surgeon for me, okay? So based off of this information that I'm giving you in this video, we're gonna apply it in the next video to those 3 surgeons, and then I'll let you know how I came down to 2 surgeons and then to 1. So I appreciate you guys so much for staying with us until the end. Please comment below with one thing that you learned in this video today, and if it was helpful for you. I appreciate you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. We are continuing to grow. We love you so much for watching. We are only 40 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers, guys. It's been a long road to get here, but I appreciate your support. Be sure to share this with a friend. Subscribe if you haven't already. I mean, you've stuck around this long, so you might as well subscribe. We have quite a few more episodes in the series coming up, and I'm really excited to share it with you, and hopefully you will be tuned into the next video. As I mentioned, I'll be sharing with you that comparison of my 3 surgeons. We appreciate you so much for watching. Until next time.